This video covers finding x and y intercepts of a line given the equation advanced. So it's important to note that the x-intercept is where our graph crosses the x-axis, and our y-intercept is where our graph crosses the y-axis. So the x-intercept of our line is where our graph crosses the x-axis, and it will always have the form where x equals some constant but y is 0, right? Because here's our origin. So this point right here, this is where x takes on some value, but y is 0. The y-intercept of a straight line is our y-coordinate. It crosses the graph at the y-axis, and it will have the form when x is 0, y is some constant. So it's important for us to note that our x-intercept always has y equal to 0, and our y-intercept always has x equal to 0. And we're going to use this information to find the x and y intercepts for 3 examples. So to solve for the x-intercept, you let y equal 0, and to solve for the y-intercept, you let x equal to 0. And we want to be sure to write our answers as ordered pairs. So for my x-intercept, y is 0. So 3x minus 5y is negative 8. 3x minus 5 times 0 is negative 8. That gives me 3x equals negative 8. I divide both sides by 3. X equals negative 8/3. So my ordered pair is when x is negative 8/3, y is 0. Now we can go ahead and find our y-intercept. I typically shorten these to x-int or y-int. This is when x equals 0. So 3x minus 5y is negative 18. Now note, I'm writing out like every single step. You, when you feel comfortable, are able to skip steps. You don't have to write everything the way I do, but I do just really highly recommend stay organized and always solve these problems the exact same way so you develop good habits and good patterns. 3 times 0 minus 5y is negative 8. I divide, well, that's going to cancel out to 0, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. So y is 8/5. So when x is 0, y is 8/5. And our intercepts aren't always going to be a nice integer, right? They could be fractions as well. Again, I have negative 7x plus 3y equals 8. So to find my x-intercept, I let y equal 0. And to find my y-intercept, I let x is equal 0. So I have negative 7x plus 3 times 0 equals 8. So negative 7x equals 8. I divide both sides by negative 7. So x is negative 8/7. Negative 8/7 is my x-intercept when y is 0. To find my y-intercept, I let x equal 0. I have negative 7 times 0 plus 3y is 8. That leaves me with 3y is equal to 8. I divide both sides by 3 and find y equals 8/3. So when x is 0, y is 8/3 is my y-intercept. For our final example, we have negative 4x plus 6y equals 15. Let's find my x-intercept. This is where y equals 0. Negative 4x plus 6 times 0 is 15. Negative 4x equals 15. X equals negative 15/4. And I'm going to leave that as a fraction, not convert it to a decimal or improper or a mixed fraction. So I've got x is negative 15/4 when y is 0. To find my y-intercept, I let x equal 0. I have negative 4 times 0 plus 6y is 15. That leaves me with 6y equals 15. I divide both sides by 6. Y equals 15/6. So my y-intercept is when x is 0 and y is 15/6.